Connor, what are you doing? Put your pants back on.
We know we're live. Hi, everyone.
Were pretending.
That's right. We're live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, Kevin. Why don't you welcome them with your big, hearty, grin and your hail fellow, well met ways.
I'm glad you said grin there. Big, hearty, and then there's a big pause.
Big, hearty butt.
Hello and welcome to this Zoom webinar, I guess it is, for our super Patreons. We're Traxians, Ultra Traxians, right? I'm doing really well so far, and I jump in anytime, guys.
Nope.
You're doing great.
We're all sort of muddled because we're in the middle of our rehearsal day for Avengers EndGame.
Avengers EndGame, yes. The final, we think, chapter of the Avengers saga. And one of the things that we noticed when rehearsing is the difficulty of riffing a movie that has a lot of internal self-awareness, mostly in the form of Robert Downey Jr. quips, but, jokes and pop culture and all. Where did you guys run into that?
Paul Rudd has a whole thing about, he mentions basically every time travel movie, Back to the Future, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and it's like, no, we're supposed to mention those. What are you doing?
Just crossing them off the joke list as he goes down them.
Wasn't Paul Rudd in Hot Tub Time Machine, which he referenced? So I think that's about
yes, he was. Yes,
as self-referencing as you can get there.
Mine, I was caught up. I was burned by them doing the making him look like the Big Lebowski, and then making the Big Lebowski joke.
Yeah.
Which is, if I may use a slightly naughty word, well, maybe I shouldn't because this comedian still works. Never mind.
Yes.
I was so close. But making a joke and then referencing it yourself is cheating. They make him look like
naming your movie Mr. Woodcock and then being like, look at this.
What a funny name.
Yeah.
His name is what?
Mike, can you find a vanilla version of the term you were going to use?
Well, it's not the word. It's the fact that I realized recently that the guy who I worked with many years ago who did a version of that, like make up an absurd name, then do 20 minutes on how absurd. Why would you name a restaurant that absurd name?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
Anyway,
about.
I saw that he's still doing that routine. So anyway, I'm waving it off, and I apologize to everyone.
Okay.
The version of it that happened to me was in the first 30 seconds when Hawkeye is teaching his daughter archery and his wife is yelling in like, hey, like, what do you want on your hot dog, mustard or mayonnaise? And he goes like, who puts mayonnaise on a hot dog? And it's like, out of the gate, you've trapped us in this little world of your own.
Yes.
Is a hot dog a sandwich, Hawkeye?
Right.
Oh, God.
That would not have been out of place,
But yeah, that does get frustrating, especially at length when comedy is hard comedy's, 90 minutes is kind of the limit.
Yeah.
It just goes to 3 hours. So it gets even harder. For us.
Well, should disclaim the fact that they are under no obligation to make the movie riffable for us. No, the movie owes us that. It's just when we take it on, that's the burden we carry. And we faced it before, even with like one of our live shows, our theoretical live shows this year, Hobgoblins. It's tries to be funny, but with something like this, it's actually more skillful in a sort of Hollywood way, like leavening the comic book melodrama with little jokies.
Yeah. I'm surprised they don't go for more cameos, like walk-ons, celebrity walk-ons in this. It seems like it would lend itself to that. Besides, of course, Stan Lee. And I'm trying to remember where Stan Lee shows up in this particular
He's a hippie in a car.
Desert.
Make love, not war,
That's right.
Is that actually him? It can't be.
I don't know. They might have Carrie Fishered him, like in the new Star Wars movies.
I think he was R.I.P. by then, and that was like a guy playing. I thought it was Mark Maron, actually.
Brother.
Oh, boy. The layers go deep.
They can't keep doing that, can they?
If it was Mark Maron, he would have driven by with a cigarette and said, I can't even. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that kind of bugged me about that moment as a comic book nerd is that right after that they show birthplace of Captain America. Stan Lee didn't create Captain America. Jack Kirby and Joe Simon did. And anyway, if we're going to put a digital person in there, it should be Jack Kirby. But that's a whole podcast.
Well, this is a good segue to talk about the fact that Sean is probably the only one who really knows the deep lore here. And I want to, first of all, thank you for getting us through some rough sections with your well of knowledge.
I'm glad you said sections, Bill. I was wondering where you were going there for a moment.
That's your dirty mind, buddy.
I know. I'm sorry.
Our themed sex parties, yeah.
No, but like there were a couple of references that you made and somebody else made that I was like, wow, that felt like it was at your fingertips.
Oh yeah, it's nice to be able to pull Morbius the Living Vampire out, or the West Coast Avengers, and have Mike be like, "Is this a real one, or is this something you've made up?"
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of jokes about different geographical Avengers groups that I never knew about. Is there like a Midwest Avengers? And
Connor drew that to my attention that I didn't even know there was a Great Lakes Avengers.
Great Lakes Avengers? Is that
so
serious?
specific.
What do they do? Do they catch alewives or
Yes.
what's their
patrol
their
They
power?
patrol the boundary waters.
Finally, each lake gets its own Avengers.
Go cruising with the
Lightning
Vikings
flies or
on
something.
Lake Minnetonka. They party with Fred Smoot.
Who would want to be Huron Man? That's like the last one you'd want to be, or Erie Man.
I think that might be one of those ones that sort of leans into the goofiness, like Squirrel Girl and those type of like that tier of superhero.
Right. There's a lot of comedy in Marvel.
Somebody explained the Spider-Man, who I think is a pig.
Oh, Spider-Ham, the
Spider-Ham.
worker?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me, because
there was a series for a while back in the 80s called What The, which was like Marvel doing comedy about Marvel, and they created he's a little pig guy who's also Spider-Man, and John Mulaney played him in the Spider-Verse movie. So it's like in the Howard the Duck part of the Marvel universe. That's like comedy, but it's not that different from the real stuff. So,
they have the talking raccoon in it. I mean, it's got to be related.
Yeah.
Somebody did mention to me that in the big glorious Avengers Assemble scene in the last 3 hours of the film,
which I felt was an homage to Ready Player One, but
real art.
Howard the Duck is in there somewhere, right?
Oh wow!
Oh, I missed that.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
Is
Ready Player One at the
Leia Thompson on his arm?
Yeah, he's humping her leg probably. Yeah.
Have we reached the stage where the revisionist Howard the Duck history is sort of like part of the discourse? Like that was an unfairly maligned movie?
Oh, I haven't rewatched that in forever, but I remember seeing it as a kid and being terrified of it.
It is a hideous-looking creature they came up with.
Yeah, and the bad guy is the principal from Ferris Bueller, who turned out to be
great guy.
Yeah, just great.
I don't like his work.
Unfairly maligned.
As a human being, I love him, but as his work, it's like, ugh.
He was scary for other reasons then, but maybe, who knew? It was under the surface. Yeah.
My contribution was to annoy mostly probably Sean and also Connor by sending them frames and going, now who's this guy? Because the funeral, it's like every Marvel character who's ever been in any movie ever, right?
Yeah.
And
Michelle Pfeiffer, who I didn't even know was part of it.
Yeah, and there was a lot of like deep faking and everything. So you're like, who's that? Yeah. Who's that? And what's the relation to him? And who?
It's like, Mike, that's Thor. He's been in 3 movies we've done. You know who Thor.
That's Captain America, Mike. He's sort of central to all the movies, and
I end up making a Darth Vader joke anyway, and I have to put out to pasture.
Let's talk about the centrality of Gwyneth Paltrow to the Avengers series.
Pepper.
She's
in the. She doesn't appear in any of the scenes where she should be there. Correct? Where it's like mommy says she loves you and stuff. Well, why doesn't mommy come out? And then then in the battle scene, she just shows up like, oh, good, you're here. Like I didn't understand that.
That's when Thanos knew he was in trouble. When Pepper Potts shows up.
Gwyneth. And they had a self-aware joke with her, too. I felt like a Gwyneth Paltrow joke where she was reading a book on composting.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, Goop, they're doing that in the movie, too.
I do appreciate whoever put in the jade egg joke.
At some point, I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity for a jade egg joke. And Mike was like, there's one in the final 20 minutes.
Gotta have that.
Maybe 7 jade egg jokes are enough, guys. She only has about 30 seconds of screen time.
That's right.
Well, not knowing anything of the Marvel universe or the Avengers before I started watching any of these films, Josh Brolin, his performance just bugs the hell out of me because he just looks like this big lumbering. When you see him in scale, like from a distance, he looks like a big lumbering infant because he's got these fat legs and these chubby arms and this big, head that's too big for his body. So he just looks like this giant. He's blue, right? He's a giant blue infant.
It's secretly an
his arms over his head. Yeah.
Right.
It's a movie that hates babies with a passion.
True fact about Josh Brolin and his character in this, I thought it was Ron Perlman the whole time.
I can see that.
I thought it was like a slightly, it looks more like Ron Perlman in real life than Thanos. So I thought.
That would have been more fun, I think, than this performance. Because in the comics, Thanos is...
You're our man.
He's a lot goofier and he's a lot more fun, and it's he seems to have a good time with killing half the universe and being like in love with death. And in this, he's just like, I have a solemn duty.
Yeah, he seems bored and irritated to be there, and the look on his face is constipated.
He is inevitable, which takes a heavy toll on your digestive system.
You didn't find that relatable, Kevin, that he was bored and irritated to be there?
Yeah, maybe. I wanted to just trudge out to my garden and pick up some, weird alien pods and
spiky garbage that you eat.
Yeah.
You get a deeply striated chin and you see how grumpy you become, Kevin.
Yeah,
I understand. I'll work on that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of scrubbing to keep those cracks clean.
Giant lump of Sculpey here.
I did a little wiki search on Thanos because I really didn't know much about, what the character was about. And boy, it went on forever, first of all. Like, there's more information on any minor comic book character on Wikipedia than there is about, like, Europe. But it led me to an argument that people were like, he's much more powerful than you see in the movies. He's basically a god. And is that true, is what I'm saying, Sean?
I mean, I guess. I think in the movie he wipes out half the entire universe. That seems pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I think once he has the stones...
Is he Tom Bombadil powerful?
Yeah.
No, Mike.
Ageless. First man, right? The ageless one.
The most powerful being of all fiction ever.
His boots are yellow. So.
That's the source of his power.
See, Bombadil would have been a much better model for Thanos. Just have him dancing around and destroying half of the life in the universe.
Bringing in pictures of milk and singing.
Honey and cream.
Yes, and having a lovely girlfriend named Goldberry. It'd be wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Lady of the River.
That's
Mike, you noticed that it does seem to have some at least visual references to the Lord of the Rings movies or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, I think Sean as well. Your section kind of was Lord of the Ring-ish, right?
I noticed it too. Yeah,
I think every section had some visual reference to, and maybe it's unavoidable at this point with the epic, series-ending things. But boy, it laid it on music-wise and pacing and everything.
I feel like that the Battle of Invisible Glasses, the Battle of Helm's Deep of like two armies just like pouring into each other has been repeated over and over now. And
no strategy, just giant armies running at each other.
Digitally clashing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other thing is they had a cave troll. They literally had a cave troll that looked exactly like the cave troll in Lord of the Rings. Like, what? You just
there's
on loan from another movie?
Right, probably the same model. They probably just borrowed the digital,
Give him a horn. He's different now.
There was one other homage, an homage to, I'm going to call it a Gilligan's Island homage, but choose whatever generation you want, where Thor says he's getting ready to do his little mission back with his mom or whatever, and he says, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
It's like...
It does a cowardly lion sort of turn.
I won't go. I won't go.
You can't make me.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Really just on the nose.
Well, we have a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Yeah. Nick O asks, do you approach riffing mainstream / box office success movies any differently from low budget bad movies or flops?
Well, one thing I can say is that if there's a lot known about the movie, especially if it's been covered relentlessly in pop culture over the last couple of years, or even something like The Wizard of Oz, where everybody knows the tropes, we kind of have to lean into them and not pretend we don't know them, which is a little different than, say, your average VOD movie we do.
Whereas like Suburban Sasquatch doesn't have that. It's not a cultural touchstone.
It's not a rich vein of fan about that.
There's a fun aspect of the curation of bringing Aladdin to people, the recent Aladdin that we did, of saying this actually exists, people, and you get to have that fun of unspooling it with people. But you're right, when it's the most popular movie in the world, you can't be like, and like this good.
Yesterday I was like, hour 9 of trying to slog through this movie, and it was like, what touchstones have we not touched on? And it was like, hey, Thanos is purple, like Grimace, and just to make sure, I was like, Thanos, Grimace, and it was like, that many photoshops of Thanos' Grimace, and I was
Your
like, okay,
computer just explodes.
covered.
A celebrity rap battle of history showed up with that.
It sort of fits with the round head and the arms that are kind of short. And
They were good photoshops. They were super erotic, but I was not. I didn't want to make the joke that everyone else had already made.
Super erotic. Okay.
Now we know what Connor's Halloween costume is this year. Thanos Grimace.
I'll ask the next question up from Trax Decker. And it said, which part do you think was hardest to riff? And I guess that depends on, because we divide the script up into sections and you guys each had a different section. Is there something in your section that was harder to slog through than anything else?
Battle scenes.
The final battle goes on forever. Yeah.
It's always the battle scenes. They're way too long. Every scene.
You're dealing with the loud effects from the movie and everything going on too, and all the quick cutting around.
A general note to these people is that you do not have to make this movie 3 hours long. I mean, honestly, they could have had just as much drama and impact and made just cut the scenes, each scene down by half. Think Martin Scorsese rather than Marvel Cinematic Universe, I guess.
Martin Scorsese, known for his recent short movies.
Well, they're short, but the scenes are not long.
The Irishman. Think the pithiness of The Irishman.
That's cinema. This isn't. Those are the rules.
We saw this movie last year at a drive-in, and our car battery literally died by the end. They had to send a guy around with like a portable jumper because I guess you're supposed to restart your car halfway through a 3-hour movie.
Yeah,
the guy from AAA is like, "Oh, you saw EndGame, right? All right,
we'll be out in 45."
Well, it was concerning. They have these portable car batteries that it's like, we're using this to like interrogate someone behind the snack bar while you weren't jumping people's cars.
Didn't use the boombox trick, Connor. Bring out a outboard radio, because that's always fun to sit on the hood of your car and. Have the radio going. That's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I got to get a pickup truck because now drive-ins are where it's at. And I saw some guys in the back of a pickup truck. I was like, oh, that's the trick. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Different.
Somebody says that, sorry, I'm still holding out for a Frog Thor movie. Connor, you know something about that, right?
Yeah, 1 second.
Connor did a deep dive on Frog Thor.
Well.
Connor has Frog Thor in the house with him.
He's going to prop comic
Unbag it. Here's the 3-episode arc. Ian, guy, RiffTrax fan, sent these to me a couple years ago. This is the best one.
Wow.
So that's okay.
I'll read them someday. I don't know.
So he turns into a frog?
I think Loki turned him into a frog, and he had to do battle against rats in Central Park.
Yeah, I remember it's in Central Park.
Wow.
Oh, so Kiss was probably there too then.
The Phantom.
Yeah, the Phantom.
So that's
all comes around.
That goes along with this guy's question of, what made you think doing a modern and obsessively written movie like EndGame was a good idea? Obsessively written? What does that even mean?
I don't know.
We can't ask the person the question. I'm sorry.
You don't want to call the person out by name? Get him on the horn here?
It was Brian.
Brian?
That's good, Connor.
And it was like
Brian.
it was
Another
like Jack Torrance. It was obsessively writing it.
Defend yourself.
Brian's in the chat. Yes, answer there, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian. We're watching you in the chat.
But let's talk in the meantime.
Yeah,
watching people wait for answers is not good content, guys.
Okay.
I will just say while we wait, somebody is saying that every grimace is an erotic grimace.
They're
Thank
quoting
you,
Mark
Connor.
Twain, I think.
Oh, you're diving into the comments section, which is
Much
never
worse than erotic Mayor McCheese, says somebody.
Oh my.
Kevin, what's another question? And then we can probably start wrapping it up. If we're talking about erotic grimace, it might be time to kind of...
I think this would be directed towards you, Michael J. Nelson. Will there be any Nick Nolte quips in this? I guess they'll have to tune in and find out for 3 hours.
Let me just give you a little hint. Fat Thor, Nick Nolte.
I will say that I sent a screenshot of one of my favorite lines to the gang today, and it is related to that.
Yes.
I thought it was just like chef's kiss. So tune in and find out.
I think with this much time in a film, you're going to find a few references that we enjoy very much used. Many of our past productions. Thank you, Connor, for
Connor's
the
that
background.
erotic grimace. It's hard to make it out.
Yeah.
The face is really where the eroticism lies.
Sorry.
Final question. Will you riff Jeremy Renner's car commercial / singing career?
That might come up.
Did he do like a McConaughey style? Like he did a poor man's McConaughey Lincoln?
Oh, he did.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
whole movie is an Audi commercial, by the way. Everybody pulls up in beautiful shots driving their Audis.
So,
And also, Jeremy Renner did the Cars for Kids jingle, I think.
That's real. Brian did clarify himself. He said Disney's breathing down writers' backs and making sure that every part of the movie is as culturally relevant or perfect as possible. And I think that's what he meant by obsessively written.
Gotcha.
Disney controlling? That's it. They're such casual dudes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
They successfully made $10 billion, so I think they did what they were supposed to do.
I think they know a little more than you guys do.
Well, before we go, I wanted to mention that we have a release coming out tomorrow for folks.
Release.
Yes. Light Blast. It is a, what would you call it? An action thriller set in San Francisco starring Eric Estrada for the kids.
Yeah. And there's a big laser and a bunch of cop car chases that are very dangerous looking.
they weaponize stadium scoreboards.
Yeah, that is literally true.
Mm-hmm. I
A lot of
believe
people melt in gruesome ways, but Eric Estrada just sort of mellows his way through the movie, man.
It's tremendous.
If you're into people melting like microwave mannequins, then you're going to love Light Blast. So.
and I'm not happy to say this, but we're pretty sure that they killed at least 6 stuntmen doing this movie.
That's right.
I mean, it was totally worth it, but
Absolutely.
You can pretty much, it's like, Faces of Death, the movie, with Eric Estrada around it.
The director did a couple other RiffTrax movies.
Bronx
Warriors of the
Warriors.
Wasteland.
yeah.
Oh,
1990
yeah.
Bronx Warrior. So yeah, he's a
Yeah, it's
maniac.
one of those, what you call Italian movies.
We have another one of his films in our queue that we're going to be riffing sometime in the near future. So
Oh, awesome.
But
Kevin,
no
what else do
stuntmen
we
because
have?
they're all dead.
What else do we have coming up this Wednesday?
Oh, as a matter of fact,
yeah.
that's right. We have a special treat. The first opportunity for us to riff live. We're going to be doing it with Stranger Things. We're going to riff live Wednesday, 7:30 Central. Is that right, folks? Please check me to make sure my schedule is right.
Yeah.
And you need for your computer, you need the Scener extension on Chrome. Just look for Scener, and you can find out the details by going to rifftrax.com/Scener, spelled SCENER. And you have to have your Netflix account. But what's a wonderful thing about it is that you'll see us like we do at our live shows on stage, the three of us on one side of the screen, and Stranger Things episode 1 in the main part of the screen. And
Seeing us is not a good thing. Come on.
Well, but you'll be hearing us and enjoying our jokes. Along
You need the slop extension, and you need to also have a punk and Fletch, and then you also have to plug in with the
Scrum. You have to
clock.
put Scrum in.
Yes.
It's
You guys are all
surprisingly
Linux,
easy,
right?
people. It's surprisingly easy, and
It is amazingly easy.
Mike, you and I are unsizzling the steak here. No,
I'm
it
sorry.
really is actually easy.
Once you
It
start
is
talking
easy.
browser extensions, it's
Yeah, we're very much looking. It works like a dream once you plug it in.
Yeah.
And
I
we're
withdraw
very-
my jokes. It's very easy.
And we're very much looking forward to doing something live because it's been difficult for everyone to go out and find something to do live, and this is hopefully going to be not a replacement for our live shows, but something to add on to it. And we will be doing our live shows as soon as it is safe for us to do such things. We still have October waiting, but we're just going to have to see. So stay tuned here, and please come join us on Wednesday to watch us riff live Stranger Things.
We're lonely.
Anything else?
No,
I don't think
help
so.
us.
Connor, you want to gavel this meeting?
yeah. I gavel it closed.
In the name of erotic grimace.
Erratic Thanos fan art.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
folks.
So long.
Goodbye.
It's time for